welcome back to another episode of NFT Artist Spotlight, hosted by AstroZero. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.
Tonight on AstroZero Twitter Spaces, a very interesting music-based project is going to be talking with us. They're attempting to create an AI-leveraged DApp for musicians in Web 3.0. It's our buddies, the Web Headz. So, Brazy, Web Headz, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day to come talk to the community. Let us know what's up with your project. And your mission statement basically here, it's saying that you're gonna create an AI leveraged DApp for musicians in Web3. Now, can you break that down for somebody? Like, if I was gonna talk to my uncle and try to sell the project to him, how could I explain it to my 55-year-old uncle so he would kind of understand what kind of concept you guys have going here?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the entire model that we're going for as an end goal for the application is to essentially have an application that attracts listeners with artists through collaborative filtering algorithms, which is essentially what Spotify and Apple Music uses to essentially gauge like playlistings for individuals. Same thing that Netflix uses as well to give you your perfect show. We are essentially going to build like an entire model for Web3 musicians that literally like gets rid of the middleman of the label publishers just directly to the from the artist to the platform. So it's going to kind of be like if the musician's music was a show on Netflix, and based off of like the you as a user, your history, you're going to be recommended this, that, or the other musician is based off of your mood, based off of your previous listening history, your location, and we can with collaborative filtering, you can really go forever. So yeah, is essentially just going to be, yeah, exactly what I just said.
So basically, if somebody was to listen to, we'll go with an easy example. So I think everybody could kind of relate. Well, maybe not everybody, but if somebody listens to a lot of Nirvana, it might transfer them over into listening to the Foo Fighters since Dave Grohl was in Nirvana. Is that kind of like the idea how you're doing it, kind of with trends of how people are picking their music?
Ideally, but only for Web3 musicians. We kind of want to only cater towards Web3 musicians, NFT artists, this, that, the other. And the thing is, with the collaborative filtering algorithms, the reason why Spotify and Apple Music uses it because they have such big artists. What we are going to try to do is essentially compress that. Because we're not going to have as much data because the Web3 music space isn't as big, but we are going to only have Web3 NFT musicians and artists.
All right,
And
cool.
the real great part about that is that we're definitely putting the power back in the hands of the musicians to go out and directly get their audience, as opposed to having to go through a record label or, you know, the Spotify and the Apples of the world, where it's really hard to break into.
So how big of an obstacle is it to really like onboard artists for Web3? Because I mean, if you're looking for just specific art, PFPs, any type of even one-of-one projects and stuff like that, it's going to be easy to find people. But there's really not a lot of people, as far as the whole of the people minting that are into music. So how are you trying to go about getting people onto your platform? Are you reaching out to people directly through platforms like, you know, Spotify or SoundCloud and stuff like that? Are you connecting with people through YouTube? So how are you meeting up with these musicians trying to get to be a part of your project?
Just from the initially the community build. I mean, that's the reason why we even pivoted in the roadmap in the first place, is because we are still initially going with the advent of the 2,222 piece collection, but that is kind of going to be our offshoot to garnering a entire community of musicians that are going to be the beta testers for this application. So the 2,222 musicians, and even just avid fans of music and art are going to be the first ones to use the DApp. The musicians that will mint with their web heads will be the first one to actually have access to put their music and host their NFTs through the application. And even just apart from that, me being a prominent like musician in the Web2 sphere, I have a lot of musicians that I know and physically in Atlanta and even in California that are constantly just asking me like, dude, like how can I onboard to Web3, this, that, the other, and just like I would really, really just completely think that they would rather than just go to someone or like a project that they're not really familiar with, they're just come to the Web Headz and just have their first music NFT hosted through the Web Headz. So I think the onboarding process was something that I was kind of like really overthinking, and that I was like, oh man, this is going to be a challenge onboarding Web2 musicians to Web3. But like now it's becoming a lot more feasible because we're starting off as a PFP project.
So after the 2,222 heads are sold for the initial, I guess, launch, those are going to be the only people that are able to access the platform, right?
Until it's public, yeah. We are going to essentially get the money from Mint, and that we're going to leverage that towards the like I guess grand scale build of it. But during that build, we are going to allow those 2,222 web heads to have beta access to the DApp. We are going to continue to scale the DApp because we like the biggest thing is not starting off as like a huge platform. I kind of think as like the UX and UI as being a like MetaMask for music, where it's small scale and it interacts with the listener and grows with the listener. But after the beta phase, it is going to be public to a wider scale of Web3 musicians and NFT artists.
Once it goes public, are they going to have to also buy NFTs in order to be a part of it, or can they become a part of it just by sharing their music on there and interacting with sales, and maybe um, you guys get commissions from whatever they do? How's that going to work?
The latter actually. My biggest the thing going into this and like observing like a lot of other projects and even making like my I guess ideal around this was to not have like a gatekeeper mentality around things. Like obviously there's going to be the beta testers, there's going to be the people that are committed to the web heads initially, and they're going to be the first ones to use it, and they're obviously going to get community perks and this, that, the other. But whenever this thing is live, it's is not going to be too much of a gatekeeping aspect to it.
So what type of perks are they going to receive, like the OG buyers? Are you there? Am I here? I don't know who's here.
I don't know where he went. But yeah, so in addition to being able to get access to that beta testing, we're also going to be able to gain access to some of the artists that are releasing their music through us. And then in addition to that, we have some merch as well that we'll be giving out. And then there's some additional things, right, Hello?
Yeah, essentially, there's going to be merch. There's going to be DAO opportunity because we are planning on having a webhead or web5 essentially DAO, where we're essentially going to give tokens to the original OG webhead mentors. There's going to be merch opportunity. Even the fact that webhead is essentially I made him as a 3D character already, so they're essentially going to get OBX or an FBJ skins so they can wear and actually physically be a webhead in metaverse apps like VR Chat and Neos VR. So like there's going to be like this entire world build is like literally perk central. And it's really like the character itself web is going to be being able to be your actual physical webhead apart from a PFP, having the option to actually get free merch, have free merch, having the opportunity to actually be constantly voting on the new rules implementations of the DApp with the DAO and the DAO tokens whenever those are out and released. One of my biggest things that I was even thinking of kind of breaking from the Web2 model is that like applications like Spotify, iTunes, directly record label to Spotify relationship. We really want to have a webfi.io directly to the artist relationship. And the community that we're building, when we have the DAO out and we have that released, they are going to have options on the implementations and what it is that they want to see in the DApp, because like we can make something and just like think is the best and give it to them, be like, hey, this is what we made. Or we can utilize the opportunity that we have now to constantly grow with the community, constantly get their real time feedback and implement and pivot off of that. And that is another real big perk of having a DAO, not just for like a freaking NFT social gimmick. It's to really get real time analytics and real time insight on what it is that our community wants.
Yeah, I think on a project like yours, the community inputs are really important. Sometimes I do worry when people say that they're making like a community-based NFT project, depending on which direction they're going. Because, I mean, to say it nicely, sometimes community doesn't know what the hell they're doing, and you kind of have to change the whole direction of your project based on what the community is doing. I think in your specific instance, it makes more sense because you're going to be everyone's going to be interacting with each other. Now, what I'm getting at with this question is, you don't have to leak the information if this is something that you don't want to talk about. But is there going to be somewhere down the line where you're going to have some sort of like social platform where people can interact and do collaborations with other artists that are on your platform?
What the cool thing is, I don't even feel like that's giving up too much information. Like I said earlier, the UX and UI ideal of WebFi.io is going to be really similar to like the music version of MetaMask, where it's like the little fox character interacts with the mouse and this, that, and the other. And is not going to be like living inside of the box of like a UI. It's gonna breathe. The web is essentially gonna grow with you. When I think of like whenever you ask me like, is it going to be like a platform for collaboration? Like, yes, obviously it's going to be a place for collaboration, but I don't even like think of it as being a platform like Spotify or like Apple Music. I kind of think of it as like banjo. You remember like in the 90s, the Banjo Buddy or like Clippy, where it's like it literally like talks to you and it interacts with you every day and it grows with you. I mean, they weren't really too intuitive, but like those characters that we fell in love with from like the early 90s and early 2000s, that is the best way that I can like kind of give like an insider on how the UX and UI and the platform is going to relay. Yes, it is going to be open, like I guess community driven. It's going to be an open platform, and I'm giving something. I actually, yes, to your question, yes.
I also want to kind of piggyback behind that. So one of the angles you were saying with like community driven as far as fans and consumers, but then there's the whole community of creatives and artists as well. You were asking about, who's going to participate. So, Hollow already mentioned that he's a prominent artist growing in the Web2 space. Here in Atlanta, we've been building up a network of talented musicians and different types of creatives. And the whole idea right now is that everything is new. We're in this space where the NFTs and all of this Web3 is allowing artists to have more power. So we're getting in on the exact beginning of that, where you could say like early 50s, early 60s, when a lot of labels and stuff like Capitol Records, when those were being founded, they were being founded very inward. You could look up the history of those things and see how the creators and the founders, they were looking at it like, hey, this scene is going off. This hip hop scene is blowing up. This rock scene is blowing up. How can we make as much money as possible off of these artists? But right now we're in a space where we have creatives like Hollow, and he's saying, okay, how can we have artists getting as much money as possible for themselves? How can we get direct consumer to artists? How can we eliminate that whole scale that's been placed in place? So what we have right now is just building the foundations of the future. That's why this project is so important. The network of artists that we have already, they're building up their permanent scenes, their fan bases. So collaboration is not going to be a hard task at all.
Yeah, the only thing that I really worry about, I'm a musician myself. The thing that I worry about, as far as Web3 goes, is we will be replacing the record labels and stuff like that to take a percentage, but we're also jumping into new territory as musicians where we're going to have to rely on developers and stuff like that. Um, really to do divisions of contracts as far as if I release a song and somebody does a piano riff in it, I might have to cut them a 5% cut or a 10% cut, and then there might be a guest vocalist that I have on there that I'm giving, a 2.5% cut, and so on and so forth. So we're still going to have to kind of rely on people until there's a little bit more education out there where we kind of fend for ourselves as musicians. Do you guys intend on maybe doing some sort of collaboration with maybe some educational platform, or maybe having a developer group come in and kind of teaching people ways in order to actually keep their songs distributed properly so they are getting the proper percentages that they want to get paid?
That is something that is really, really amazing. And I also actually put that in my notes just in general to have more infomercial and just more like wide mass information spread because I'm completely there with you. I completely, even me coming from Web 2 to Web 3, I know that not everyone is going to put in like the time to learn about like Solidity and different advents of smart contracts. So it's like I don't think we really have any other options but to pair with the developer team or but to pair with some sort of Web3 education Solidity developer team because like if I feel like if we don't take that move as a project scaling, we are really going to miss out on informing an entire section of musicians and artists because that's kind of one of the reasons why this project is even being made is to kind of not really capitalize off of the vulnerabilities of artists because a lot of people, a lot of artists, a lot of musicians don't even want to think about the smart contract front. They don't want to think about the business side of it, even though that is a huge part of it. But it's like if we can provide them that footing where it's like, hey, we have someone in our community that's literally able to walk you along just the process of not even having to make your own smart contract, but even like pointing you to a platform where they already have smart contracts where you're able to essentially like drag and drop and click your specific royalties in and out of there because like I don't honestly I don't even think that a lot of musicians in Web 2 knows like the power of royalties with NFT music. I mean that like I know that because like when I talk to a lot of like my musicians friends about Web 2 coming to Web 3 and I bring up the royalty aspect, like their brain just like explodes. So yeah, to answer that, I definitely do think that we're going to have a team of developers that are educating along with an educational front that handles that as well. Thank you so much for like even giving that idea. It's important.
Yeah, the first album that my band ever recorded back in '99, um, when we recorded at the record label, basically said to us, "You're not going to make anything until you sell 10,000 copies." And this is like before the internet, so selling 10,000 copies like piece by piece, it was a fucking difficult thing to do. Like it was really, really hard to do it. Like I envy a lot of these people that are in Web 2, but they're also getting screwed, like because Spotify, SoundCloud, they're not paying these people anything. I had a guy on here with us a couple weeks back, and he gets like 1 million listens on SoundCloud a month, and he's only making like $3,000 off 1 million listens. Like how is that even remotely correct? Like the payout with that? That's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
And that makes me pissed. You got it, Pete.
yeah. The structure of these systems that we have in place now, I mean, they're so broad. Like at a lot of these companies and labels, I mean, they have thousands and thousands of employees, and everything is like on top of the music itself, on top of writing credits and producing credits, you have the accountant, the fifth accountant in the West District of whatever. Like everyone is too many people involved. There's too many things. So a system like this is needed. And then like aside from money, what you were just saying about how labels kind of speak to artists, education, like just the knowledge of things, just how things work, that is something that's like heavily restricted. Like you see a lot of people learning about it now, but that is, I think, more than money is the understanding of where your money's even coming from, where it's going, what, just the business side of it. So that the education is like a huge, huge focus that we are definitely going to push.
Yeah, the thing with the education too is we don't only have to have the musicians be educated, the consumer has to be educated as well. Like they have to know how to set up a MetaMask, and they need to know how to bridge, their Matic into wrapped Ethereum, and they have to learn stuff. And like that's really going to be like a challenge as well, like to really get this out. So that's why I was really curious if you guys are kind of partnering with an education group. I think it's a little bit more well known for people that are doing just regular art, but when it comes to music, you guys are kind of getting in just at the right time, just as this is starting. Were you guys excited that you saw Snoop Dogg? He sold $44 million worth of his
Wow.
album that he just released on Gala.
There was also Tory Lanez had released an album, and he sold, I don't know how many copies, like 1 million or something, all strictly through NFT. So it's great that that's happening, and yeah, it is exciting to be like right here in the beginning of something.
So you guys can. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna hop on the peak, just saying like the beginning. You guys emphasized the beginning of it. Like that is like another thing that really just kind of makes me like relaxed. That like how even the privilege that we had to just even make a pivot in our initial roadmap, because we thought, man, we're not thinking big enough to be like a music project and to have this vision and this grand goal. The fact that we are at the beginning and like essentially the musical founding fathers, it's a huge freedom.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna get in on something, you want to get in early, and there's really nobody else out there. I mean, everybody that's selling music is just selling it on chain, and they're selling it through a marketplace. But if you have something dedicated strictly to the artist, I think you really have a leg up on the competition. We're talking with the Web Headz right now about their upcoming project. They're going to bring power to the artists in Web3. So looking forward to it as a musician myself. How much are the NFTs that you guys are going to be selling for the project?
They're essentially going to be 22 Matic, so I think it's like $36 essentially. So yeah, an individual, when we're essentially going to scale from there, we're going to see, I guess, get like I guess the first couple hundred sales. We're going to see, okay, are these selling out fast? This, that, and the other. We're going to scale from there. We don't want it to be too much of a high entry point, because like that doesn't really align with our end goal. But 22 Matic, $36 essentially. I guess that fluctuates. I think the prices are falling. So
Yeah, the market's been eating a shit sandwich over the past like week or so. So yeah, it's going to even be cheaper. So that's good for everybody out here. So you said you don't really necessarily have a mint date. Are you extending the whitelist date? Can people still get on the whitelist and get ready for when you guys are going to launch?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of like even the whitelist, or at least I would say just this past couple weeks, I've just garnered a really dedicated team to really make this thing like not only just like the entire like rollout smooth, but the aesthetics of everything smooth. Like whenever I want to put out another whitelist, whenever I want to like do another update of the website, I want the aesthetics to be aligned with what the even like what the project looks like. I'm not my first initial whitelists were like Google Forms, this, that, and the other, when I was trying to get a feel of everything. But I want this entire thing to be an experience, because the end goal of this DApp is huge. Like this thing is huge. So in terms of the whitelist, we are going to post another whitelist, I'm thinking next week, and we're still going to get a feel from that. We're getting more activity and more people driven into the Discord. So like, it's anyone listening just in general. I posted the Discord, I pinned the Discord up top. So if you guys are just looking just for a place to get to know some, I guess the founding musicians and the founding people that are going to be putting their music in WebFi.io, hop in the Discord, man. Introduce yourself. You will be met with by Pete God, Brazy, or me. We have some really cool chats and really cool people even over these past couple weeks coming in. So yeah, the community build from the ground up is the phase that we're in right now, and we're going to release the whitelist according to that now since we pivoted.
So what made you guys decide to go on Polygon as opposed to another chain like Avalanche or something like that?
Just the community, the Polygon community. Like when I first got into NFTs, when I was first interested in it, just to wheel back, I put my first NFT out in 2019, and that was on ETH. I put it on Rarible, and it was just me messing around. It was like memes and stuff. And I didn't really feel like that sense of like genuine community, genuine like, yeah, I care for you, you care for me, this, that, the other. Until I really met like Beluga, Dave, and a lot of other people that just like kind of just like I don't want to say like weirdly welcome me in like the Polygon community, but they really just walked me through just the power of Matic. Like the first of all, the price point, the zero gas fee, and just like the scalability of it as well. I would say it all started with the community for me. That's really the reason why I chose Polygon.
Sorry, my phone is acting up here. Yeah, Polygon's community is strong as hell, man. Like it's really like everybody just bonds together in this community. It's crazy how it works. It's not like any other. I see some chains out there, but it's everybody just on specific projects as opposed to Polygon's kind of like we're kind of like hippies, right? We kind of just venture into other people's gardens and go and sit down and have like a cup of coffee with them and chat with them, and everybody supports each other, which is really kick ass. Are you guys gonna start getting involved with like metaverse concerts or maybe a metaverse radio station or metaverse? I don't know what else you could do in the metaverse with music, but those are the two ones that I was thinking of the most.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're gonna have to like that. That is like like no debate. We are going to have to really put like a focus on first getting the message out there, because I don't think we can rightfully collab or even hop on to like a metaverse event if no one really knows our story and no one really knows our messages. Individuals as well, just not even just as like an overarching project, but just as individual creators, me, Brazy, and Peak. So like metaverse concerts being in the just like the nitty gritty of all that that's what I did in Web 2 as a performer and an artist, and I plan to do the same thing with this project in Web 3. I think it's awesome too, like the ability to be like a character and perform without having to show like your face in the metaverse. Essentially, whether if you're like a talent scout, whether you're like a musician, this, that, and the other. It's I tell my family all the time, like, dude, like you guys better watch out, because like these next couple years you're going to be investing in like a VR headset to like watch your favorite musician essentially in the metaverse, and you're essentially going to be like instance with thousands of people, like kind of like Snow Crash. So yeah, there's no debate.
It's
I'm
gonna be
actually going to my first concert in the metaverse tonight, actually.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you have a VR headset for it?
I do not. I am actually going to a friend's house who has one. She's letting me borrow.
It's awesome, dude. Put me on, Brazy.
I'm not sure if this counts, but what was it, 2018 when Travis Scott had the concert in Fortnite? Just the whole concept of just being able to create and exist in a space when you got like real life concerts. Of course, you got the super high budget pyrotechnics and statues on stage, but for future artists, when they can completely place you in their environment, their color schemes, their different surroundings, and just really like lock you in with the music. I think that's so cool and it's so important. Like it's just the next step of like creativity. So I'm really excited to see some of the stuff that can come out of that.
I'm just excited that I could, like my friend who's constantly stuck in the house because he has 5 children that are all young and like it's really hard raising that many kids. I'm gonna be excited when we could actually both wear VR headsets and go see a concert, like from sitting on the couch, but we're next to each other and we can kind of like communicate and high five and do sing-alongs and stuff together. That's really freaking cool. And like, I'd imagine eventually they're gonna have like the metaverse Super Bowl for football, where I could actually afford a Super Bowl ticket for once or something like that. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be great.
absolutely.
So, how are you guys planning on building rarities into this? How would the rarities work?
So like I guess just during the minting I guess so let me go just like through the rare like the dot JSONs and like the regenerate like the entire advent from making the Blender files and everything. I did like a multiple variations of headphones and multiple variations of web skins. I have like a holographic web, I have like a holographic web mouth. I have like different like clear headphones, like different bands, different backgrounds, and the through the generator that I essentially made, I was able to like attach individual like levels to each individual ones. So the gold are the regular rare, the blue eyes are the super rare, and this is across the board. I have like three color schemes going on: the silver, the gold, and the blue. And the silver is like the basic regular. The same thing with the mouse. I have the regular silver mouth, the rare, which is the gold, and the super rare, which is the blue. But then the cool thing is like the holographic webs, which is like doing like the because I already rendered the 2222 the images and just like seeing all of like the different variations, but seeing like there's only like a certain percent of like small like holographic webs is really crazy to see. Also, the regular, the OG web face that you see me rocking in the on my PFP, the slanted eyes and the regular mouth. First of all, the slanted eyes are super rare, and the big mouth is rare as well because those are like the OG, the first the phase one, the first web ever made. That's like essentially like his silhouette. So they're kind of is just like three levels of rarity. There's three colors, different variations of headphones, different backgrounds, different web skins, and yeah.
Are, are the rarities going to play into any additional benefits that a holder of that specific one might have?
I wish that I innately thought more in depth of that, but my brain is initially just really on the DAP. I mean it's never too late, honestly. I can still run the dot JSONs and how you gave me the idea. But yeah, that sounds sick. But my mind was initially on that. So no.
Well, I mean, sometimes you get a vision and you don't think of like stuff like that, and
So true.
your main focus is really the implementation for the artist. Um, I know it's an NFT project, but I kind of look at the NFTs for this as a secondary thing because I'm excited as a musician that I could go on there and do something like this personally. That's more exciting than the art to me.
Absolutely. And like I kind of just getting excited just about like even like storyboarding and drawing up the like the DAP interface in my just notes and just in general and just transferring it to my computer. The kind of ideal and vision behind it is kind of like I was saying earlier, the Clippy, the Banjai buddy, where it grows with you. But like the thing is the data usage thing is really weird. So it's only going to essentially like access and breach that data whenever the application is open. It's going to be mobile and it's going to be desktop as well. I'm trying, I like my ideally, because I know how to have like web static and flying around this, that, the other, but I want it to be like your friend. Like I want web to have like voice recognition. I want web to essentially, I want people to look forward to like listening to music with web, this, that, the other, because I feel like web has that potential as being like a franchise character. And I just get like really excited about like the UI because even making it, even having the blessing and the opportunity to kind of start as NFTs really allows us to have people invest in artists invest in the character even their own individual web head, to where that DApp is released. They're like, yeah, dude, like I've like web has been something that I've been invested in since the beginning. It's crazy to see this thing come to life and actually interact with me. Uh, so yeah, I'm thinking of like a living, breathing UI rather than like the general model of having this like a static, boring, non-lifelike UI. I really want to bring this thing to life, and me and my team, we're gonna do that. So yeah, it's freaking epic, man. I'm looking at like the computer right now. I'm imagining this web flying through the computer. It's really cool.
So how long has everything been in development, and how large is the team that you have working on this?
So we essentially, I essentially started the development of Web just as a character first. I would say 2 years ago, I essentially started Web as a 2D avatar and just something that I put on like hats and this, that, the other. I used to draw his face a lot until I got teamed up with some animators in the UK. The company is essentially called Grand Soir. Francois Custer, I think Custer Dewa. I think he's a French last name, and the main animator is Brandon. He is from the Cayman Islands. He currently goes to uni in the UK. We've teamed up and we started just really putting out web animations, like music videos with like web, kind of taking my character and integrating him into the DCWL, the Digital Christ Wasteland. Then we pivoted to bring web into real life. So I had a stream of concerts in the Masquerade the end of last year where we had Web like hit him kind of interacting with the crowd. We had like holograms of Web in the back. We had people coming up to like the Web holograms, like, dude, like as a character initially before even thinking about the technology and everything and the back end of that. The physical implementation and the I guess like the genesis of the NFT and PFP project came around the same time as the Masquerade shows last December. So we've just constantly been working on that, and the team consists of currently 5 people, including myself, Brazy Lane, as you can see, Pete God. We have another UX UI designer, Cactus Fractal, and he's really active on the Discord. I don't really entirely know if he's really too active on Twitter. And another gentleman named William Allen Harris, which is someone that I worked with since I was 16. I've also known Peacock since I was 16. I worked with William on just advertising and branding as well. He currently just landed a pretty big ad job in North Carolina. So everyone is fairly vetted in their background. Brazy has a background in marketing and advertising as well. Asher Peak has a background in community lead. He is also an artist himself, and he's also a professional streamer. So these are completely vetted people. I myself, I am completely Docs Hollow Sinatra. A real name Marcus Townsend. I'm like the thing is as well is that like the my age as well. I'm 20 years old. I'm completely doxxed. This is a I hate to even like bring up my age online because people think, dude, this guy is 20. Like, what does he know about anything? This, that, the other. But I know that Web3, this next revolution of the internet and advent of the internet, is going to be really, really seen into fruition with people like me and people younger than me and people that are that young and old, obviously, but people that innately grew up on the internet and innately grew up on just like the tokenization of assets, this, that, the other. I really do think is going to be built upon young people, obviously, as well as old. But yeah, the team consists of 5 people, including myself. So I ramble. I apologize for that again.
No. I need to apologize.
Sorry. The craziest part about everything he was just saying is like he didn't even really touch on himself. Obviously, he's a humble guy, but Hollow is definitely like a one percenter as far as talent and vision. He mentioned that I've known him since he was 16. Back then he was kind of in the hip hop space, and then he kind of got into like the rock space, and now he's like in the kind of electronic music. His music is absolutely phenomenal, and that's also going to be a huge part of this project. Him kind of releasing an album along with this, because it kind of all goes together thematically. But yes, his music and vision for sound is absolutely phenomenal, and I don't say that very lightly. So what you guys are seeing and hearing, and hopefully participating in going forward, is an artist who is very much for artists. His whole passion behind this project is completely based in the utility of it. But then outside of that, the aesthetics and the artwork and music that comes along with it is also great. So, it's just a great journey all around. This guy is going to go very, very far.
So let's say this exact day in 2024. All right, so 2 years from today, do you guys feel that platforms like Spotify and SoundCloud are going to be in the rearview mirror, and a lot more people are going to start migrating over to Web3? Or do you think it's still going to be a challenge in order to get musicians over here because of just the sheer amount of them that are locked down into contracts and legally bound to contracts with record labels?
I think only if platforms like think in terms of creating new things from a first principle aspect instead of just competing with more deals. I feel like if like 2, 4, or 3 years from now, if platforms are still taking the same general models as Spotify and iTunes and kind of reversing them like in the ringer to make just newer brushed off implementations of that, then yeah, it's we're still essentially going to be in the same place. But I feel like if platforms, including ourselves, webfi.io, if we act from a first principles basis where it's like, okay, how like what are we from like the ground up? What is like our main goal and what are we going to do to provide that? And not only including us but other platforms, and is like what are like the basic necessities of musicians and artists, and how can we make this onboarding from web 2 to web 3 as easy and as seamless as possible, but also having like some gamification and rewards with it. And I feel like if that is kind of like getting out of the competitive, like trying to compete with Spotify and iTunes, and getting into the creative, creating our own, this completely different platforms and advent of morals, then I do think in 2, 3 years it will be huge. Like there what we are going into right now is we're like basically what I'm trying to say is 3 years right now from now, if we get out of the competitive mindset and if we get right into the creative mindset to creating these new platforms for the musicians and artists, they are completely going to be in our high view mirror because they're giants, they're huge, they're prone for disruption from newer, smaller, lightweight platforms. I mean, it's like it's just inevitably going to happen. Just like how Spotify essentially grew and kind of like leveraged the record labels to go on to them from the record labels like seeing all their losses from Napster. Like that new advent is going to be in Web3. But the thing is, we're not going to have to corner Spotify. We're not going to have to corner Apple Music or iTunes, because artists are going to want to be a part of our stuff because we're going to help artists. We're not going to leverage them. We're not going to put a gun to their head, this, that, the other, like physically or like or digitally. We're not going to do that. We're just going to be completely transparent, completely upfront. I guess if more platforms take that same approach, then yes, I'll confirmly say that Spotify, Apple Music, all those different platforms will be on our higher premiere because they'll be irrelevant.
Yeah, they're already going through a tough spot with each other. And then the more artists kind of speak out as a whole, I'm sure in every genre, everyone can point at a variety of artists who are kind of speaking out against their labels, speaking out against the percentages. I mean, it was released recently about how Spotify, how they're paying out millions of dollars, but that millions of dollars is going to like 1% of artists, including people like Prince and Michael Jackson who are dead. So a lot of people are looking for ways out of this system, but it's just a matter of convenience. No one's offering ways out. You're seeing people like what Kanye recently did with his stem player to say, hey, I want my fans and consumers to have direct access to my product regardless of what's going on. He showed a little bit of the sales, like a couple $1 million in sales. It's showing that people have interest in it. It's just going to take people making that initiative to make it available, and that's us. So yeah, I also agree. Like, if we just continue to push this and make it artist first, make it education first, then yes, Spotify and this business hungry models will eventually die out.
Yeah, every time I see a large artist release stuff on like like an NFT based project, it excites me because I know we're getting one step closer, and that's going to start making their fans be a little bit more apt to learn how to actually get into the Web3 space. I mean, Snoop Dogg proved himself. Like, he could release something, doesn't even have to sell out, and he makes $44 million. Tory Lanez made something ridiculous after selling his initial mint for $1 a mint, and then just off royalties, he made like millions upon millions of dollars. Like, Kings of Leon are doing it in the rock aspect, and they're getting in there. And I think that the people that are really going to be the pioneers as far as getting into releasing music on the blockchain, it's going to be hip hop, and it's going to be electronic dance music artists, because those are the two that could kind of do the work now with advancements in technology. Like, you could make an entire album on your shitty laptop that you get at Best Buy, as long as you have a decent DAW program recording it and have different have good microphones and stuff like that. So the hip hop community is already kind of, for a while, with SoundCloud artists and stuff, kind of cutting out those labels. And then electronic dance music artists never really had labels to begin with. So those are really going to be the two pioneers, in my opinion. We're not going to have people like Metallica. We're not going to have people like Britney Spears and stuff in this. I don't think, for quite some time, unless it seems like the hip thing to do. I'm rambling a little bit, but going into the social aspect that I was talking to you guys before about, do you think that maybe you might implement something like a musician job board on there, where somebody might need a session bass player to record a specific song with them, and then once they send the stems back and forth and the party who's purchasing it is satisfied, then they could go and cut a royalty percentage in for that particular artist? Or maybe have engineers that do like mastering and mixing. Somebody goes and records the raw format, sends the stems over, and then they get a percentage paid out for being like an engineer or a mastering engineer, and so on and so forth.
Man, that's absolutely genius. I can say firmly that didn't even really initially cross my mind. But like, we definitely need you on the team just in general with like these amazing ideas, because that is absolutely genius. That definitely does work in the frame of what it is that we're trying to provide, in terms of collaboration for musicians. I didn't, yeah, that's absolutely genius, man.
I think the brilliant thing about just Web3 in general is that ideas like this can exist and be implemented at any time. So, and of course, we have like our original vision, but this whole thing is, we're going to keep saying it, is very much community driven. Even on the Discord, there's like an ideas tab, because we believe that everyone has the right and the access. Like, people have ideas, you can be the smartest man in the world, but you're always going to miss something. So it's very much open for anyone to kind of add input and brilliant ideas, because that, what you just said, is like absolutely genius, and that would be a beautiful thing for the musician community.
VDK Music, do you have a question for the Web Headz?
Yeah, just wondering, as a classical musician, like, where do we fit in to this aspect? Is there a place for us to?
There is no hierarchy in genre of music with this platform. So if you essentially host your NFT just through this platform, And I didn't really get too much in the nitty gritty of the algorithms that are going to be at play essentially, but just like a firm overlook of things. Web is essentially going to recommend this, that, the other, just based off of the user, how the user's feeling. This is going to be multiple different facets. You can get really, really complicated with collaborative filtering algorithms, but there is no hierarchy in genres. If you're a classical musician, if you're an electronic musician, if you're anything, this platform is cross compatible, and there's no hierarchies in genres at all.
Thank you. I joined the space a little later on. I was in another space. But is this mainly just to sell NFTs linked to music? What if some of us have, a music collection that'll eventually have staking involved? Is this to sell collections or just music itself?
This is just, I guess, essentially a platform to garner a target audience for musicians. So that is the main purpose behind the algorithm, and we're going to scale from that. Whether that's like a collection of music that you release, if you host your music on the platform for like listeners to listen to, it's going to be directly towards a listener based on what their mood is. Like I said, how they're feeling, this, that, the other, just based off of the data the algorithm collects. So it's even like the staking functions. Are you referring to the staking your music? You're referring to?
Yeah, I won't go into too much detail just because we're still in the planning stages, but I'm a classical violinist and a composer, and yeah, I'm just wondering, like, is this mainly just to sell, straight up NFTs with music audio files linked to it? Like, what are the options?
Yeah, I mean, initially, just based on the initial climate that we are right now, is not like just like a sale model. It is and is inevitably like if you go to a like Mint songs or this, that, the other, you're able to listen to the song. You're able to actually have the option as well to purchase it. So that same ideal is going to be here. It's not going to be just like you can't listen to it if you don't buy it. Is
Yeah.
going to be yeah. It's not going
Is
to
the
be
Apple
yeah.
Music the Spotify of Web3?
I think that is kind of from like a first principles basis, not something that we are initially trying to aim for, because
Yeah.
we're not trying to aim for, we're essentially trying to build a universe or a world or around this ordeal. So it's like Spotify and iTunes is like a still like platform where it's like, okay, like I can listen to my music, this, that, the other. I can't really interact any more deeper than just looking at the stale 2D images of the art, the music that's playing,
Yeah.
this, that, the other. The webfi.io is going to be complete. Like you're going to be able to interact with the character.
We can drop content. We
Yeah,
can be. Oh,
yeah,
okay. Amazing.
yeah. And honestly, I mean, I just saw you just hopped in the Discord as well. And during this entire process of making this DApp, we will drop just like insider looks. You guys would be able to use the application. You guys would be able to use the DApp. Earlier, we were I don't know if you're in the space or able to hear it, but when we drop our the WebFi DAO, we're not dropping the DAO as like a NFT like stunt. No, we have a DAO, this, that, or the other. We're dropping the DAO to gain real time analytics from our testers and our users in the community. So it's like you guys are essentially going to have tokens. You guys are going to be able to vote on like what it is that you guys want, because we're going to be able to we have the option to literally build this DApp around what it is that our community wants. Obviously, us acting out of wisdom and intuition, we're not gonna go with like like stupid ideas. We're gonna go with ideas that's best for the whole as a grand scheme. So like I see you're in the Discord and everything, and the cool thing is that you're able to see this and participate with this thing as it grows. So yeah, like literally what it is that you even may have in mind the DApp before it's released. So that's also a really cool thing about DAOs.
That's awesome. I've been following you since I think must have been one of the Polygon spaces, probably Belugas or something, but I didn't realize you had a Discord until tonight, so very happy to be part of it.
Yeah, and I also want to give like a shout out to Brazy and Peak for really holding things down in the Discord. It really gets like really like mind-boggling the amount of growth that's even just been happening these past couple of weeks. So yeah, like if you join the Discord, Brazy and Peak and Cactus Fractal, we will all just talk, like introduce yourself in the introduce yourself tab, and drop your music, anything, whether that's even on SoundCloud. We don't really care. Right now, we're listening to everyone's stuff. We're just interacting. We're growing. We're making this into a really cool, just open source environment. So yeah, I also want to say thank you so much again for just joining the Discord. And everyone else, you guys can join the Discord as well. I pinned it up top. So yeah.
So
Thank you.
I have a couple more before we wrap up. If anybody does have any questions for the Web Headz, feel free to come up, raise your hand. So my next question for you guys, are there going to be any sort of rewards for people just for listening to music? Because that is a big part of this. I mean, if nobody's listening to the music, the platform doesn't really exist. So is there going to be any kind of reward, like a token or something for anybody that's just sitting there listening to music?
Absolutely. I mean, that is going to be, I guess, initialized after the advent of the DAO with the WebFi tokens. There's also going, like I was saying earlier, this thing is going to be like perks galore. So it's like if we throw just like a questionnaire up on the DAO board, where it's like, what like you guys will literally have the option. It's like, what it is that you guys want from like a certain level of listens or a certain level of interaction. Like, what is it that you guys want? Obviously it will have to be feasible in terms of just like if it's just like some sort of like badge for like listening, if it's some sort of like new metaverse skin, like 3D headphones, or even just like the ability to have like your physical like your physical 3D model of like your web. Essentially, that will all be up to the perks, and everything will all be up to the community after the advent of the DAO. But the tokens, yes, obviously, yes, there will be WebFi tokens.
I was going to say real quick, I wish Cactus was in here, but the brilliant part of teams is that people can, everyone has their specialties. And as far as just user experience, that's something that Cactus is extremely, this guy, he just thinks of things like when we're out, he'll just say something like, oh man, I'm not having good experience based off of, something like the way a straw is designed. Like he really thinks about the user experience. So that's something that we're going to really focus in on, because as much as we want to make this the biggest thing in the world for artists, we also want, users to have a great time.
So obviously, if you're going to have AI involved with, kind of finding the trending demographics and stuff for a particular artist, are you going to allow these specific analytics to be available to the artists who are on your platform as well? What I mean, like David Hasselhoff, right? He was a really shitty ass singer, right? And he was garbage in the US, but they loved him in Germany. So he moved to Germany and he became like a multi-million-dollar selling musical artist. So if I was an artist and I was on your platform, and let's say a large amount of people from Denmark enjoyed my music, is there any way that I could see that people from Denmark enjoy the music, so I could kind of target that specific zone on my like social media platforms and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that is one of the reasons why that is one of the reasons why for WebFi.io is for the artists to garner a niche target audience. And I mean, it's hard as fuck to do that without analytics, real-time analytics. And what Peak was talking to about our homie Fractal, that UX UI design, like I really want to just like work with him and making that just like break out of the model from being just like a boring analytics page, where you're able to actually like just, I guess, warp those analytics, use those analytics in real time to like have like a, I guess, like a breathable model. The thing about like even Twitter analytics, I go on to look at like how is my like what demographic, like this, that, the other, like what am I hitting? But I can't really click on those links to do anything with that. I'm just like, okay, I can just post more and do like hashtag China or this, that, the other. The thing that I want to do is with that analytic advent, because like yes, obviously analytics are going to be provided, but make those where the artists are actually able to use that as like an arsenal. And that is going to be something that I'm going to have to sit down with my team to think about, like, okay, how are we going to bring these analytics to life rather than just being like a boring like spreadsheet presentation? Like how can we make this lively? Yes, to answer that, analytics, yes, that is the main reason why web5.io is going to be successful, because it literally gives artists that ability to tie in with their niche target audience through collaborative filtering algorithms. So yes.
Yeah, I mean that's super important, because essentially if you're a Web 2 musical artist and you're coming over into Web 3, obviously your community is going to be cut down, because not a lot of those people know how to use MetaMask and just how to go about navigating in Web 3. So you might have a target audience on Web 2 that's completely different from your target audience on Web 3. So I think that's super important to kind of drill down into the analytics and find out where it's coming. Because if my music is on Web 2 and I'm on Spotify and I'm making 3% or whatever on my total plays, and then I'm on Web 3 and I'm pulling in a different demographic, but I'm making 70% of my percentages, I'm of course going to focus more of my intention on catering to the demographic on Web3, because it's going to put more money in my pocket.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I feel like even as we create this thing, we create this model, I want it to be so robust that we can essentially stack algorithms on top of each other, where it's kind of like the human, like the user, the musician, not entirely the audience member, because they wouldn't really have anything useful to do, but the musician will be able to actually interact with the web, and web will literally give them like, I guess, tips on like how they should leverage their current numbers and their current audience base, because I haven't really seen that being been done, but I know that it can be done. You just have like the back end is easy. It's all about just like wrapping that front end around it to make it look pretty. So I would love to see it be like stacking algorithms and stacking like machine learning models on top of each other to give the not only just like the listener but the musician that full experience of having a personal automated assistant.
I think it's going to be very powerful for people in the future. So I do wish you luck. Is there anything that I didn't bring up that you guys would like to share with the community here?
I mean, not personally. I don't know if Brazy or Peak had anything they wanted to bring up. I would just drive, I guess excitement and attention just towards the Discord, because like what I mean, if I wasn't myself, this is me like completely speaking from like an outsider perspective. If I wasn't myself, and if I was in this live just hearing about this conversation and just being like, okay, like what is it that this, like, even if I'm not a musician, I would want to learn more about this just to tell people about it, because it's going to be so sick and so dope, and it's going to help so much people. Even just being like an early founder, early investor, this is me speaking outside of myself. This is like, we have the opportunity to scale, like to scale software in Web3 with no reins and no rules obviously, but no reins, no limits. So just join the Discord, introduce yourself. Me, Peak, Brazy, Cactus, we will talk to you every day. We will literally walk you through the installation of getting a MetaMask until we have those team of educators and developers in space. We are creating a culture bigger than just NFT music. We are striving to be our best selves as individuals as well, and we're striving to provide the best product. One thing Elon Musk was talking about, and he had a podcast with I think it was Lex Friedman, and he was talking about just like entrepreneurs and people having this ideal of like if they can rearrange atoms to be the perfect product, like what would that be? And like me even idealizing and having this team around me and forming this product, I think has the potential to be obviously I don't want to say the perfect product because it's really narcissistic, but like the perfect tool at least for musicians and just listeners and users. So so I would definitely just really encourage you guys, hop in the Discord, find out more about the project, DM me from either the Web Headz or Hollow.io, DM Brazy, DM Peak. If you want to friend anyone, like just reach out and we will help you with anything you have to do or anything you need to do with Web3. Also,
Not
thank you
only
so much,
that, we're
Elon.
obviously taking in everybody's consideration of any suggestions that you have. We're here to listen. We're not just here to talk. So we're definitely here to see what you have to contribute. I mean, even in this space alone, obviously we've gotten ideas on how to make this better. We're here for musicians and we're here for fans of music. So that's what we want to do, is make sure that it's everybody's app. It's for everybody to use. It's for my mom, it's for my kids, and it's for me. So we want to make sure that it's accessible to everyone. So bring your ideas over. We want to hear them.
Yeah. I was just gonna say this is exactly what she's saying. Very community driven. This isn't Daniel Boone or Lewis and Clark. This is all of us kind of going down this path together. Like this is the very beginning. I mean, we're in the early stages of just Web3 as a whole. And then this whole idea of just going against the machine and being very artist first, like regardless of Web3, I mean, it's just very, very, it's very new. So you guys are all at the beginning of this and we're all going through it together. So it's just really exciting and I'm excited to do this.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for coming out. Brazy, Peak, Web, you guys are great. Really looking forward to you guys releasing this. When you decide to go live and you need some tweets, make sure you shoot them my way because I'll be sure to pump them out to the community for you guys. I'm looking forward to getting in on this myself. I'm looking for a home for where I'm going to start putting all of this music that's just been sitting on a hard drive since COVID started. So it's about time that I get that underway. So once you guys start, let me know. I'll be one of the first people jumping on there with you.
And now's when I need that fist right now. I need the fist.
We need the fist.
And
all right. Well, I guess we'll wrap up here. Once again, thanks for giving us about an hour and 15 minutes of your time. It was really gracious to you guys. Really do appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck. And just be in touch. Let me know how things are going. If you need a hand with anything, let me know there too, and I'll be sure to help you as best as I can. All right.
Thank you so much, Dave.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for coming out to the Web Headz AMA, and I hope you all have a fantastic night.